Okay, so I'm going to also now do a work through of the same task, but doing it on the phone app rather than the tablet app, because I know that some of you are using your phones and finding it more difficult to find the functionality that you're looking for. So I'm going to go through the same thing, but first I'm going to activate my layers. So the diamond at the top here gives me my layer function. So I can now see my layers down the side of my screen on the right hand side. And I'm going to bring in a picture from another from my photo reel. So I've obviously saved my logo and I've got my bottle saved in my camera reel. So I'm going to tap on the second in at the top from the left, the kind of pen function. I get all these options come up. I'm going to use my import image in the middle column there, and I tap that, and that allows me to go to my camera reel, and that allows me to bring in my bottle, and I can just shrink that down a little bit and tick that. So now I'm going to do the same. I'm going to draw my box around with my transform tool, with my selection, the top left one there, and then I'm going to just draw the box shape. Well, I'm actually using the lasso, which I actually don't want to do, so let's deselect that one. If I tap the second one in on the left, the lasso, I see the options I want there, and I'm going to use the middle square rectangle tool. I'm going to draw that rectangle around my bottle again. Again, I'm going to use the kind of square donut with the cutout to invert my image like that. But then I need to see my layers, so I'm going to tap the top diamond second in from the right and bring my layers up. So then I can tap my layer and I get to cut what I don't want. And then I can deselect that. There we go. So I can bring that up in size a little bit. And there is my bottle back how it was when I showed you on the video using the tablet. So now I'm going to import again. So I tap my image there. I'm going to bring onto another layer my logo. So now I tap on my my options, and then I'm going to import image again, and I'm going to bring my logo in. There it is. I'm going to just shrink it down so it's a bit smaller. But I need to work with it still, so maybe I want to make it a little bit larger there. And I want, again, to trim that using my transform, my selection tool, here. And last time I drew a square around it first, didn't I? So I'm going to start by doing the same thing again. So I can draw that square just to get rid of the kind of the outside of that picture. So I'm going to go back to my invert function there, the square with the square inside it. I'm going to bring my layer back up, tap my layer, tap cut, and that's gone out the way, and use the red cross to deselect that image. But I do want to be a bit more detailed around this, don't I? So I could, again, like I did before, try the magic wand tool, but again, it's not doing what I want it to do. So I'm going to take that off there, and instead I'm going to use the square tool. No, I'm going to use the lasso tool. Sorry, that's what I used before, wasn't it? So I'm going to draw again a nice fine line around my image. Really carefully around the top there. That's hard to see. So it's not perfect, but I might just do that again actually, because I couldn't quite see the top. Okay, it is tricky on a phone screen. I can rub that out. There we go. So I'm going to invert the selection again. Tap on my layer, tap on my layer, tap cut, and there, that's gone. And then let's deselect that. So I'm going to shrink this down. So I'm now going to go back to my options. I'm going to click transform, and I want to shrink that layer down into position and just move it around like that. Great. And when I'm happy, I can tap that. So last time I had my brushes out, didn't I? And I was showing you how I was just going to erase away some of that layer to blur it in a little bit. So I'm going to, if I tap that, I can bring in my brushes. So the third one in there brings me up my brushes. And I was using the eraser, but I had the eraser with a slightly more, there we go, tap the settings, with a little bit less flow and a little bit less size on it. And then that's good, so I can then just take that out and then I can start to erase. And as I'm tapping there, all that's doing is it's actually erasing away, but with a sort of a blurred effect, isn't it? So that just starts to blur it into position. That's not exactly what I want, but it's not too bad. Okay, there we go. So then I can just pinch that out again. And there's my bottle. So I can go back and do the colour effect again on the bottle cap, but I'm going to do it on a new layer. So I'm going to tap in a new layer, and then I'm going to go to the selection tool again, and I'm going to draw in my shape, but I want to make that a little bit larger to work with on my phone screen. And then I'm going to draw that shape in again, all the way around the bottle cap. And it's really great how accurate this is actually. So then I want to use my colours. It doesn't quite bring the colours up in the same way that it does on the tablet. However, you can bring this kind of grouping in here a little bit. So I had to start with, I had an orange, so I'm going to tap that orange there. That's it, and then just close it, and then I'm just going to run with my brush. So select my brush. I'm in a rubber at the moment, which I don't want, so I need to go back to the library. This is the brush tool I've been using. I want to change that line to a more kind of flowing tool. There we go. That may be more what I'm looking for. So let's do that and come out of that and just see what that looks like. Yeah, it's not too bad, but it's not perfect actually. So I might go back into that and just change my brush type. Not convinced. There we go. That's maybe the one I'm looking for actually. So go back in there, run that line down. Probably got a black colour coming through, so let's go back into our colour. Pick my colour. Maybe go back in again, choose the pink this time. And that's just not doing what I want it to do, so I think that might be because my brush is too thick. So let's try the settings and let's take the size right down there. Let's try that. And then I'm going to go back into my picture. Go back to my colours, pick my orange colour to start with, come back out, run my orange colour down there. Yeah, I think that was the reason actually. And then I'm going to have my pinkness there already. Then I have my yellow, so I'm going to pick my yellow colour. Come back out, run my yellow down the middle. And then I'm going to go to my blue. And run my blue down there. And then my dark blue, which was that one. And then run that down the edge there. So I've still got that kind of effect on there. So if I then deselect that, go back into my layer, and actually I want to take the opacity right down on that, and then see what that looks like. There we go. So it's less opaque than it was. It's less dark than it was. There we go. That's the option there. So now I can see my bottle with that colour on it, and I can add in my text if I want to do that again, and I can tap on that tool, tap my text tool, and we're going to take got my font size there, that's okay. There we go. I'm going to choose my colour was the orange which I was using, And that's all good. I'm going to shrink that right down so it fits in the space. Because when you're on your phone screen, everything comes out. Obviously, you're working in with a much smaller size, and that's not too bad as well. I'm going to just shape that a little bit better. That's it. Done. There's my bottle done. And again, I could just erase out the bits I don't want on the edge if I try. So there's my layers. I could condense it down into one by tapping and merging down and merging all and then screenshot, and that's my bottle done using the phone app rather than using the tablet. A little bit more tricky, a little bit more fiddly, but you can still get the same result.